Hi there, and thank you for tuning in to The Social Circus, where every week we dive into a variety of topics covering social media, mindset, and how to run your business. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Hello, my lovely listeners, and welcome to another episode of The Social Circus. Today I have a very special guest. I am really excited to welcome Lily, who is the owner of Align Marketing and is a niche and personal brand coach for heart-led female service providers. She helps them to clarify and articulate who they are, what they do, and whom in a way that allows them to be more of themselves and attract their dream clients. She enables her clients to market their businesses their way by taking into account their unique skills, superpowers, and personal values. Through her aligned marketing formula, she helps them to understand, own, and articulate their superpower so they can sell with confidence, clarify their niche so they know who they are talking to, and hone their message so they can be heard. Together, they create a strategy that feels aligned and powerful to bring in their dream clients and grow their business. Welcome, Lily. Welcome, Lily.
Yay. Thank you, Sarah. It's so exciting to be here with you today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so exciting to be here with you today.
Awesome. So I always love to start by asking people, what inspired you to start your business?
So I come back way back when from corporate, and then I started a family and realized that I didn't want to go back. So I really just started taking stock of my innate skills and what I'm interested in. And I really saw a gap or an opportunity rather for me to help other women who are taking this beautiful entrepreneurial journey and just want to get their gifts out with the world. But marketing felt like a completely different language and a different beast. And they just wanted to go out there and do their craft. And I absolutely love to support other women in their businesses. I believe that we all lift up society in what we do. So, and it's also a way that I can really make a difference to other humans. And for myself, it was finding something that I could do that I could really use my innate skills with and merge my marketing acumen with my, wisdom and intuition and just make a difference. So Align Marketing was born. Yeah,
I love that. What a beautiful way to start your business. And I'm really excited to talk to you today because I feel like you're in that same space where we're really motivated to empower women to have these amazing businesses that fill them up. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you today because I find this time and time again, because obviously my background is traditional marketing and obviously I'm now in digital marketing by and large. And what I find that most people struggle with is they don't understand those kind of marketing 101s. And when I was reading your bio, I was like, oh, I'm so excited to talk about these things. So let's start by talking about how do we, with the clients and understanding their niche. I think this is something that is really hard in those early days in business.
Absolutely. And I think that, so often we come in and we jump to the strategy, we jump to the tactics, but we haven't taken the time to really hone in on who we are, what we do, and for whom. So niching is a beast in of itself, because I find that so many people hold themselves back, don't want to pick something in particular. They want to help everybody because they can. And if we don't get very clear on who it is in our hearts to serve, then we're just throwing stuff out for the masses. And if we don't get specific, then our people are not going to lean in. And they're not going to see that we're actually in it for them. And the other thing is sometimes it's actually just as much as it's good to call in the right people, it's good to push back the wrong people, right? Because at the end of the day, we all want to be working with clients that we love to wake up to every day. We want to be serving clients that we can best help, right? Because then the alchemy and the results for all of us skyrocket. And we just, when you understand your niche and the people that you want to be bringing into your business, you can also then start to develop your messaging. You can get more specific to their needs. So it's not just in your social kind of marketing, but it also comes down to the back end of your marketing in terms of what offerings are you going to put together, because you really understand their skills, you understand where they are in their journey, you understand specifically where they need your help. But you also, being marketing from the inside out as my philosophy, you also have the opportunity to work in the space that you love to work in and that you see as your genius, because we're all on different paths and we're all in different stages of the business or life. Not everyone's a business coach.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that I've found, and I even know this from when I first started my own business, is I need clients and I need to pay my bills and I need to bring in money. And so I'll work with anyone. And that's something that I hear all the time. And how do we work through that? How do we work through I'll work with anyone, I'll take anyone's money, to thinking about a bigger picture, which is really hard when you're kind of maybe in the early stages of business, or when you're in that stage. Like, a lot of people right now are in a little bit of hustle culture because times are tough. And so what we want to do is then go, well, I'll widen the net and just say, oh, actually, I don't just work with women. I'll work with anyone. I'll take anyone's money. And that really can then turn people off. So can we talk a little bit about why should we niche, and why does it matter all the time, not just in good times, but in hard times?
So once again, when you niche, you can get much more specific in calling out your clients, and specificity sells, because people can see that you're the solution they're looking for. It's important to be able to show them that you really understand them and to focus your marketing. Because if we just splash everything out everywhere, then it actually becomes very vanilla.
Yes.
And nobody is connecting with what we're saying. So they have this pressing issue, but I guess you haven't shown that you're the expert in the issue that they're specifically trying to solve. And in a market like now, as you say, when things are a little bit tighter, everybody's holding on to their purse strings that much tighter, that much longer. They really, really need to understand very specifically how you're going to help them. So if we just try and help everybody, it scatters our message, it scatters our own brains, because we move from being very intentional and tightening up our own activities to being scattergun and being confused. And not only for us, but for our clients, a confused mind never buys.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. When times are tough like they are at the moment, if we think that we've got to widen our net, what you're actually saying is we're actually confusing the people, and we're likely to jeopardize our business, because we're losing the people who are our ideal customer. We're losing that niche, and they can't see that we're for them. So it's actually quite a mistake, isn't it?
Definitely, because I think you're watering down your value, you're watering down your message. And by doing that, you've almost lost your leadership in the niche that you're wanting to work with. And an example could be if you want to work with accountants, for example. The more you work with accountants, the more you get known in their sphere, the more they will refer each other to you, because this is Sarah, she knows our business, she's the woman to speak to, she only helps accountants. Right?
Yes.
Whereas if a ballet teacher comes to you and wants to, grow their studio, well, maybe you don't know anything about that. And you may, because it may be the same strategy, but now they're feeling like not necessarily. So if you keep yourself focused, then you can really get to the crux of showing up as an expert in this particular space that you want to niche into. And I also tell my clients, just because you've niched and you're speaking to these people, somebody from left field, they're not reading your client avatar, right?
Yes.
So as you said, you might be marketing yourself to a woman, and a guy comes into your sphere and loves everything you do and says, I want to work with you. You're not going to go, you're not on my list, I won't work with you. You'll go, sure, because he's seen things about you and what you do that he wants a piece of. So,
and I think that's one of the things
some
people
feel
get
very restrictive.
Yeah, people get confused with marketing and who will I only work with. So, in my business, I work with predominantly women, and in things like my mastermind, it is women only. There is no exceptions to that because I want it to be a safe
Yeah.
space. But I have male clients, and I have clients that come to me and they read my website and they go, and then I always get sent a message, "Do you work with men?" And I always write back under duress. I always say that jokingly, because if they're my kind of people, they'll get my humor.
Yes.
And I always say to them, I'm a marketing expert, so I call in my people. But if you feel that I've got something to help you with, let's have a chat. And that's what I think people get most scared of, is that they think that, what if someone really liked me, but they're turned off? And it's like, no, people will push through that. And I've seen it so evident in my business for years and years. My branding, everything about it calls in my female audience. And yet I still have lots of men that I work with because they see my value and they get what I'm trying to do. And that's really hard when you're kind of struggling, isn't it?
Yes, but I think you've been able to do that because you know what problem you want to solve and for whom.
Yes.
And then other people who see I've got that problem will self-select, whereas people who don't have that problem will, move on by. And that's the benefit of the focus and the specificity that you've put in. Whereas if you suddenly said, I'll work anything with anyone, then again, like, nobody really knows what you do. And so they don't know that you can help, and your business will take the opposite
Yes.
opposite route.
Yeah. And I think that's really reassuring. And I hope all your listeners are really hearing what Lily is saying at the moment, because at the moment, the temptation is, I must need more services. I must need to widen my net. I must need to throw myself out there to everyone. And that means I'm more likely to get more clients right now in these tough economic times. And actually, what Lily is saying is the complete reverse. You're actually going to repel people who are interested because they don't understand what you're saying. And you're going to be too broad, and nobody's really going to be like drawn into your business. So please take that message from Lily today, because she's really laying it down. It's really important. So let's move on and talk about messaging, because this is kind of tied in with our ability to niche, is how do we message ourselves?
Yes.
And this again scares people, because it's like, I just don't want to call in these people. And I want you to kind of talk about how do we hone our messaging, and where does that all stem from?
So I'm going to answer your question, but something that you brought up was the offerings. I think now is not the time to complicate your business. Now is the time to make it simpler, more streamlined, so that you can have a straight, simple message that just shoots forward like an arrow, and there's no confusion and no picking. Right. So the message, your message essentially is what you're putting out there that will have people see and understand who you are, what you do, and for who. Right. So it is things like talking about your thought leadership, your beliefs, right? So that people start to understand it. It comes in a little bit with your branding, right? People understand who you are and what you stand for, because we buy from people. We want, just like you said, you'll work with men who are your jam, who think in the same way. And we want to call in people who will meet us on the same frequency, for lack of a better way of putting it. We want to show people that we understand where they're at.
Yes.
So we need to specifically talk to the problems that they're dealing with.
Right.
Now, we also need to show them what is possible. So a lot of the times people say in your marketing and your messaging, you've really got to go hard on the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need to explain the problem and show that you understand the problem and you can fix the problem. But I don't like when people come in so hard that you leave your audience gutted, right? Because if you go too hard, I mean, then people go, oh yeah, I'm kind of like feel like a failure and I'll never get out of the trenches.
Yes.
So my philosophy on the problem, highlighting the problem, is really just the space where you call in your clients because you show them you understand.
Mm-hmm.
You show them they can kind of self-select, because when you can do that in a vivid way, which is why storytelling is so big now, where you can show them, what happens in their day and what the consequences are, then they start to kind of listen. It's a little bit of a education. Sometimes they may not realize the consequences of staying stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And then sharing the possibility with them. Right? And then that is what's possible, where you can go together. And it just should always stem and stick around the vision you have and the particular messages that you believe in, the things that you believe in. So, for example, part of my message is talking about marketing from the inside out. It's heart-led people, because I really do not believe in one size fits all, in hustle culture, in any of that sort of thing. So if you're looking for a strategy that the gurus say, you've got to do this, and this, then that's not my jam. So that's part of the messaging, is understanding how the person works, right? Because it's a different philosophy. So that's part of your messaging. So really, at the end of the day, and especially as service providers, people need to understand what we're all about, because we're working one-to-one. Not everybody's working one-to-one, but there's always a humanness, right? And there's always a humanness that we need to connect with. So I say first we connect with emotion, and then we get through the line with logic. Right? And part of your messaging is really taking your clients on the journey that they can come to with you. I hope I've covered all of that for you.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful, because, and gosh, you're giving out some gems today, because I truly feel and I don't want to keep harping on it, but it's tough out there at the moment. It's a tough time, and the temptation is to default to that hustle culture. I need to scatter wider. I need to create more things. And actually, it's really heartening to hear you say that is not going to give us the joy and success that we're looking for now more than ever. And I think that it's really hard to not believe that to be true, because we are so conditioned to believe I just need to work harder. Or, and this is my other favorite one, it's a numbers game. So if I'm not getting enough numbers, then I need to get more people to land on that page. And it doesn't matter if you get more people to land and they're still the wrong people, they're not going to convert. So
exactly.
I just love it.
It's like Facebook ads, Facebook ads. I'll get Facebook ads. But if you're going out to you've just got more eyeballs on the wrong message. That's all you've done if you jump to Facebook ads. And we've got to get what we've got to get to now. First, the messaging has to be right. People have to connect. And I dare say now is exactly the opposite time of hustling. Now is the time where chances are you got a little bit more time in your diary, is to actually start to reflect, to get still, to redefine what success could look like for you, to take stock of what you love to do, who you love to work with, what is working or not, what offerings you might want to do, and just take a step back and get really grounded and look within. And this is actually, I would say that I'm on this journey right now too, because I hit a point where I was like, I'm not having fun in my business. So we're going to see, well, why not, right? And we're going to see, well, what does fun look like to me? What inspires me, right? Because when we're in the stress of performing and of getting clients and of that whole hustle, well, for me, hustle culture is just stress and musts and shoulds.
Yes.
Then we're going to shut down, especially a sensitive woman, right? We'll get overwhelmed, we'll shut down, and we won't do very much. But when we can go, okay, well, what lights me up? Where's the joy? Which rooms do I want to be in? What platforms am I excited to show up in? Now you're going to change your energy. You can't not. If you allow yourself the space, you're now going, okay, well, this sucks me dry and I'm doing it every day. And no wonder I don't know what to say, and nobody's, kind of coming my way, because you don't really want to be there.
Yeah.
Right. But then when you sort of turn a little bit this way and you go, I love whatever, going, into the base, or I love this particular thing, then suddenly you're inspired and you're able to do things, and you don't have to think so hard. And that's marketing from the inside out. That's when things become easy. And sometimes we can do this for ourselves. Very often we can't, because we can't see our blocks. We can't see our genius. We're so close. We're so close to our genius. It's so easy to us. So if it's easy to us, then it's not valuable.
Can I just interrupt you and say this, because it's music to my ears listening to you, but I'm like you. I've always worked in marketing. I've done it for like 30 years, and with all my expertise and all my understanding and marketing knowledge, when my husband joined my business about 8 years ago, he completely changed my branding. So most people associate my brand with the pink, which is very feminine. So we went to pink and black. Prior to that, I was actually a green and a blue color. And he had said to me, because he's a web designer, let's just go all in on the pink and black. Let's go all in on attracting your female clients. And I was like, oh, I felt really scared to, even though I knew all of what you've just said. So I want my listeners to hear that, because with all my expertise and all my knowledge of marketing, I was still scared to go all in on my business with, this is who I want to call in. And it was actually my husband that came in and said, let's do this. And I was like, I still remember thinking, oh my gosh, when he overhauled my website and we went all in on the pink and black, moved away from these colors, I was like, what have I done? Because I still have people say to me, I don't like your branding. And I'm like, I'm not for you then, because I love it. And I want people to see that, because what you're saying sounds easy. And I want them to know that even with all my wisdom and knowledge of marketing, I was still terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard.
Can we talk to that? Because I think it is hard, because you're taking a leap. But when you're taking a leap from a place of congruence or alignment, it's different. So I'd love for us to talk to that, because your listeners might be going, is it scary? Is it exciting? And am I in my comfort zone? You want to come to a place that feels like home, right? And the difference between that and comfort zone, or that and fear, is it feels scary but exciting. It doesn't feel scary but heavy. Right? And that is where, like, I see with my clients, that's where I like to say, I ignite them, right? Because you're sitting, you have a conversation, and you can see, it might not be tangible, but they're talking out of their logical brain or whatever. And then we hit on something, and they start talking about what they're more passionate about. So if we're talking about niche, they might be talking about, the niche that brings in the money. I'm sure lots of people are looking for a niche, and just looking, well, those people will pay, right? And they won't pay if they can't see your value. So let's forget about that, right? And then they start talking about what's exciting and what's passionate and what they love to do, but they haven't given themselves permission to do. And suddenly they're animated and they're excited and they're energized. And you're like, well, there it is. Like I recently had a session with a client who was, we were skirting around niche. And then she was like, I'd love to work with those X people, but I can't, because they're so amazing. And I was like, okay. Let's play with that a little, right? There's so many niche gremlins, but another part of that is, who am I too, right?
Yes.
And we played around with it. And then once I saw the passion there, I could reframe that for her, to see how she could be the fire that serves their mission. Right. So the women she wanted to work with, I think, were in like social businesses,
like enterprises,
and they were doing amazing enterprises. They were doing amazing things in the world. And then she was like, "Oh, well," but I'm like, who am I, right? But she was the one who had the expertise that they needed to get themselves and their business and their mission out into the world in a much more powerful way. And once she could see that, right,
it all came together.
She could go with the excitement and not with the fear. And that's, I haven't gone on a tangent, but just know it. I just knowing.
I've got all the feels, because it's
follow it and give yourself permission.
It's so hard, isn't it, to do that? And this is why we need people like you in the world, and we need people like you to help guide us, because I can't reiterate enough how much I've had the hiccups with my marketing, and I've had to listen to my heart rather than my logical brain. And I now sit with this business that I love, and that I have beautiful clients that all just light me up. And it doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. And I want to kind of just wrap up, because I feel like I could talk to you all day, Lily. Oh my goodness, especially marketing. I'm all in for that. But if there's one little piece of advice you could give to my listeners about their marketing, just one little tip, what would it be?
The tip is to find what lights you up, what your skill set is at, and just focus on leaning in more into you. Know that you do have the answers, because like I say, all strategies work, but they don't work for everybody. And if you're trying to hit your head against a strategy that's not working, that's actually diminishing you, chances are it's because it's a strategy that doesn't fit with your skills, your personality, or your values. So follow those. There's always refinement, but follow those and keep going, and give yourself enough time for it to start to work. And you'll just see that you can open a level of joy you didn't know you could have in your marketing.
Oh, thank you, Lily. Oh my goodness. I think I'm going to wrap us up on that, because that was just so profound, and you have shared so many gems. For everyone listening, come back and listen to this with a pen and paper, because you need it, because we have had some really, really helpful strategies and tips. So thank you so much, Lily, for joining me today. For all of my listeners, if you would love to connect with Lily and her business Align Marketing, all of the links will be in the show notes of how you can connect and work with her. But I want to just wrap up and say, Lily, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a delight speaking with you.
Thank you. It has. It's been really wonderful. It's always lovely to have heartfelt discussions with other amazing women. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And to all my lovely listeners, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode as much as I have. Remember, the Social Circus comes out every Wednesday, and you can tune in on your favourite podcast platform. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Social Circus. As your host, Sarah Thompson, I am thrilled that you've chosen to spend your time hanging out with me. I would be so grateful if you could spare an extra moment to go and leave me a review on your favourite podcasting platform. And if you even felt more excited, you could share my podcast with your friends who you think would get great value from it. Thanks so much again for tuning in.